Well, I had a text from the mailman. Said the coal is in your drop box. Now, I don't know how he knew it was coal. Doesn't say anything on there, it just says heavy, caution, heavy. This is bituminous Blacksmith coal. And this came from Coal for Sale Online. Ends up to be about $1 a pound shipped. But I got 50 pounds because it rained last night. I was going to do some haying, but it rained. So I think this might be a good time to get to work on this shovel frying pan conversion. That's something I got to talk about sometime, but I'll mention it now. In the video when I talked about this, somebody said, that's not a spade, that's a shovel. And it's a spade. But here, I look on Wikipedia, and it is funny. People who have never used the tool don't know what to call a tool. Because they honestly refer to this as a shovel. The blunt nose version, they call it a spade, which is completely opposite of what it is. A spade is designed to loosen material up. You know, if you got one of them square-ended things, you can't push one of them into hard ground. A spade, you can. A shovel is for taking loose ground and moving it. You know, but it's funny, their definition is exactly the opposite of what it really is. But it ain't the first time I've seen that. But it's from people who have never handled either. So now you see, like in, I bet if I looked at the ads here in the fleet card bill, a lot of places now they cover their ass and they call it a spade shovel or a shovel spade. But this is a spade. And the square ones with a high shovel. But it's funny. But you can't, you know, if you got one of them blunt nose things, you aren't going to get that into the ground. You know, there's a lot of different types of spades. There's a lot of different types of shovels. But this is a spade. It was funny. You know, I get a kick out of that when people, you know, they got it to their head a certain thing. All right. I'm going to put this stuff all in plastic buckets rather than in a box because it's heavy and it breaks down. But one of the things I was going to mention, you know, I used these plastic bucket lids last year when I buried the carrots. And I really like the way they work. They make a bucket a very handy thing. You know, they're not exactly airtight, but they really don't need to be. They just have to be able to keep critters out and water out, you know. So they're handy. They're only like, well, under $2 each. But man, it just makes your bucket a much handier thing. Because I got all kinds of buckets, but lids. But that's going to work great for storing this coal. But I've got a lot of other stuff that I've actually, even some reloading stuff that I don't use often, I've got stored in buckets like this. They're just really handy. But for, you know, like the carrots when I had them in sand, man, that worked great. So, lids. And you can buy real expensive ones, but that's one of them where they got the rubber gasket and all that. I don't need that. But a $2 lid really spruces up a bucket. But I'll get this transferred and get it loaded. I like this though. But we'll see. You know, as long as because it's been really dry, so I've been hesitant to run the forge. you know, you could start a hell of a fire. Now they've got a little moisture, I think I'll maybe go at that. And I pretty much settled on using this one. You know, there's everything points to it working very well. Like I say, you know, people, man, I mean, there's nothing special about this. People, oh, put a handle on it. Well, I got all kinds of spades. You know, it isn't like this is a real old one. You know, you run into some of the real old ones where it isn't just folded. There's an actual bead built into it. You know, something like that. Yeah, them you want to hang on to. Something like this is not special. But it's USA made. And it is tempered. You know, when I looked at, I had some shovels that had potential, but that was a lot thinner metal. You know, I don't want it real thick, but this is about the right thickness that I want for that project. So I'm going to take the grinder and cut this nonsense out of there and then fire up the forge and start flattening this out. Because, you know, a lot of people, you know, you don't hammer on, especially tempered steel, hammer on it cold. You got to get it hot. Then you can re-temper it after you're done, but you don't just go beating on it. I mean, you could do it, but you're likely to crack it. But good to have some of that on hand again. I don't go through a lot, but when I need it, there ain't really much substitute. Well, I can actually use the oak works, but this is a little handier.